And we were both really miserable. So it's like, okay, this isn't working. So then we learned to do it by meeting in the lineage. So to join this link, which I have with Rinpoche and the lineage and everybody else in there, with Dorji Sempa and Garab Dorji, with Dorji Chang and Tilopa, Naropa, Milarepa, Marpa, Gampopa, all of those. They're all in there. What you want to do is relax and chant this with me while letting go of your pointed location in the space-time continuum. Like, let go of the here and now. Don't like throw it away or anything. Just stop holding on to it for a minute. And relax into the fourth time, where all the many lineages are, come together. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Because we're people, right? So the potential is there. You just got to know how to let go of the you of this and sort of drift, not drift so much as permit. It's almost like you see it all orbiting around here and then it sucks in through the crown chakra. That's symbolic. That's not what's really happening. That's the symbols of what's happening. So let's give it a try. Do you have a copy of this? You might. Starts Chuku Kuntu Zongpo Gompo. If not, if you fish out your phone, you can get it online. Let me just check something. Yeah, that's right. Because I know it's up on my website. Should I wait? Okay. You may not quite get this the first time, but keep trying. It's the same method that you take an online Wong that's been recorded, in order to catch it, even though it's not in this time-space continuum, it's somewhere else and somewhere else. You have to let go of the here and now. Let go of your total belief system in how time runs and the here and now and what it's doing. Like that whole set of stories, just stick it in your back pocket or something. Put it in abeyance. Chuku kuntu zongbo gompoi Dorji sempa garab dorji dang Shiri singa bardushin labdi Dedamabzan tata tusum chi Zogchen jupe lamala solo dib Ergin pema junila solo dib Dorji chang chichalo narudang Marpa mila gompo tsatapa Na pupadang palden drupa sok Kargulama namla solwa dib. Now here is where you go for all the other lineages you may hold. This is in Drupa Kargu and Nyingma. But if you've had Wongs and teachings from Shakya or Bon, this is where we go there, or from Native American, anything that you count as been really important for your spiritual growth. This is where you add them into lineage. Dzogchen lama namla solwa dib. Dzogchen lama namla solwa dib. Kaginawari lama namla solwa dib. Shakya lama namla solwa dib. Yundrundang Yandulama Namla Solwa Dib. Alquandu Zhongdang Yerme Pa. Gun Garab Durjijin Trag Pa. Jatidang Nisume Pai. Palamanamchi Tente Chong. The first 3 paragraphs calls all the lineages, brings forth, merges with, and the last one, each lineage starts with primordial Buddhahood, outside of time, beyond space. And the last one talks about being one with Garab Dorji without exception, everything together in this through Vajrasattva into the 4th time, where all living beings are all Buddhas. So it's a very beautiful prayer. Can you feel it? It always made it easier for me to understand what Lama was teaching when he did that. People used to say, we'd pick our nose in tandem without noticing. I heard about that several times. Or we'd both scratch an ear and he'd be behind me. So I wouldn't know what he's doing, but we're both like. So it's really a linkage, but I'm not the lineage. I'm the conduit. I just open and let it through to you. It's not the personality, Lena. Think of me, Lena, as a door prop. You see, all these points of view. People used to ask Lama Yeshe what his point of view was on this subject or that, and he'd always fall over laughing. Because all points of view, pointed, single pointed, not open awareness, but pointed, a point of view, a way of seeing things, they're all errors. Some people have been asking me questions about how to know if you're really seeing Tawa or if you're making it up. You're making it up. There's no such thing as Tawa to see. All of the experiences that you have as perceptions are mind-made. You made them up. All your traumas, you made them up. You had physical sensations, and you interpreted them as this or that. And you had feelings about them and then may have been traumatized by them. But the same set of sensations by someone else could have been interpreted in a completely different way and had completely different feelings about it. For example, being kidnapped by 5 big guys in the middle of the night in a car. Would you find that traumatic? I consider it one of the rather more funny adventures, which is what I thought it was at the time. It was these 5 dumb Turks. I was hitchhiking from Amsterdam. I can't remember where I was going, maybe Paris or something. And they picked me up on the road and then said they were going to kidnap me and go sell me in Turkey. That's like 3 days away. Not a chance. And they really weren't very bright. And I was like, So eventually they stopped for gas. I said, I gotta pee. I'm not gonna pee in your car, right? No, you get to use the bathroom. Yeah, and I'm just laughing this whole time. It's not in the least bit traumatic to me. Because how can you not in 3 days get away from 5 idiots? They didn't even have a gun. So I ran into the little kiosk thing. There's this old German Hausfrau running the place. I run behind her and says, help, these guys are trying to do something. And she picks up a broom and she walks out there and goes, what are you boys doing? Tail between their leg, back in the car and out of there. And I'm like, thanks, ma'am. And I go out and try to hitch another ride. It didn't take me that far out of the way. The reason I'm giving you this story, which some of you know already, is as an example of something that might be very differently interpreted by someone else. They might not find it funny. They might not find themselves like, come on, 3 days? There's not a chance. This is not actually a dangerous situation. This is a funny situation. But that was how it looked to me at the time. That was my interpretation of the sensations of being wrestled into a car by 5 guys and sat on. Oh, well, this is funny. I mean, I figured I could have taken any one of them and maybe 2. They were big, but they weren't fast. Do you see the different ways you can interpret things and have completely different experiences? The exact same scenario for you or you might have been interpreted completely differently than for me as a 19-year-old crazy hippie and bit of a brawler. When one becomes obsessed with some limiting framework within the one equality, this is how specific karmic visions manifest based on the duality of self and others. You don't realize that you are creating the entire dynamic. In another text by Longchenpa, where I think it's Masters of Illusion? No. Being comfortable with illusion. He likens it to a dream. If you were dreaming and you knew you were dreaming and somebody was chasing you, you could run if you felt like it, but you know you're dreaming, so, only if you feel like it. I mean, you can play as like if they're going to play tag with you, it's a video game. Or you can cut it out. Because you can't be injured in a dream. And you know it. Not for real. But there's the for real again. You think the dream isn't real and this is. Nuh-uh. But this There's a little drum with pips on it. Pips. As it moves, the little harp things get plucked by the pips as the drum turns. And you hear sound. This is an analogy. The pips are like the karmic bits in your channels. The chi blowing over them is like the movement of the drum. The plucking of the little harps are like your sensations of the six senses. And then, according to your habit patterns, you will interpret those sensations as a story. Probably based on every movie you've ever seen, and all the books you've ever read, and the things people have told you. And with that interpretation, you will have feelings about what you think is happening. Due to my habits, when I experienced that sensation of getting shoved in the car, which was a series of sensations of sight and sound, and them saying what they were going to do, due to my habit patterns, I interpret it as not a chance, much too stupid. With that interpretation, my feeling was, this is quite amusing. Let's see how we play it out. Where did those habit patterns come from? Probably the kind of sci-fi I used to read as a little kid. You're doing that right now. That same thing. Your mind invents existent phenomena where there is nothing. The sensations of the body just reinforce the attachments. Because of your attachment, ego fixation, your obsessive compulsive attachment to your physical sensations, what you think about them and how you feel about that, because you're always staring at that. It's like people who get stuck online and can't put the phones down. You probably know people like that. You may even have teenagers like that who grew up with them. That's an obsession that traps you and completely keeps you from noticing the totality of yourself. So it limits you into being this itty-bitty, slightly nutty, self-sabotaging entity. Here, I'm going to pass this around to people to look at, see how it works, but I do want it back in the end. Think of it as the analogy of how experiences occur. The authentic state transcends pleasure and pain. Karmapa, the 16th Karmapa, when he was dying of, I think, some kind of cancer, he had sensations, but he didn't seem to need much in the way of pain meds at that time, because he didn't interpret those physical sensations as pain. This is a useful thing to develop if you have chronic illnesses such as old age, which tends to hurt. But don't start on trying to unravel the entire perception. Start with the thoughts, because that's the bit you can actually pry up more easily than anything else. The story you are constantly telling yourself about what you think is reality. For some people, it's a little voice that talks to them incessantly. For other people, it's a series of picture images or a set of wordless concepts. Not everyone hears it as a voice. That's simply probably more than 50% of the people do, but it's not the only way. So just if you don't hear a voice, don't think you don't have that. They're not always in words. Especially if you're on the spectrum, you get some really interesting other ways of experiencing thoughts. Name. Very famous. Works with animals. Yes, she says in pictures. For me, they're very complex concepts, but they're not always in words. Before I could speak English, when I was a very small baby, I still had the most amazing stories about what was going on. Under the rocking chair where my mother nursed me, there was an alligator or something with many teeth. And it would jump up and try to bite my butt when she rocked forwards, because I was lower, and then she'd rock back, and it wouldn't, and then she'd rock forward, and it would try to bite my butt. And I was always climbing higher on her until I detached, and then she'd put me back down. But it always bit my butt, tried to bite my butt at exactly the same strength. So I explained that to myself as like sour grapes. This creature didn't realize that I had changed position, so it always thought I was the same distance away. So it simply tried harder when I was higher and didn't try as hard when I was lower because it didn't know it could do better. After I'd learned to talk, my mom was rocking me. I guess I was sick or something. She wasn't nursing, but she was rocking me. And I looked around, went to see it. I was big enough to control myself that way. And I saw it was her hand patting my butt. And I started laughing and told her what the story had been. And she's like, "Fuck, I never wondered why you kept crawling higher as best you could." This is so very complex story, no words. But that was the reality I experienced there, which is why I didn't go to sleep when being rocked very well, because something was trying to eat me. That's only one example of the many, many stories I had before I could talk that weren't in words. So even if your stories are not verbal, they're still governing your reality, describing your reality. Are people always mean to you? That's yours. Do you tend to get victimized? That's yours too. Are you unvictimizable in your belief systems? That's yours. Doesn't have to be true. There is no true. It's what you believe in. And that's the tone of how you tell your stories, according to your belief system. Is this making some sense of how you're doing it here in Samsara? But you understand how hard work this is, how busy it keeps you? Holding it all together, getting your ducks in a row, herding them to go in a lineup. And then there's the paperwork. Right? It's almost like we constructed this universe to be highly distracting in a trapping you way, so that you don't ever just stop for a moment. Try it. If you have choices of what to think in, shift out of your usual mode into one of the others. For instance, if you're a word thinker, shift to pictures. If you're a picture thinker, shift to non-imagery, non-word thoughts. If that's your norm, shift it to words or pictures. That loosens it a little bit. And then do the eye gaze, where you relax the muscles of the lens and release the point focus of your eyeballs, allowing your attention to follow that into releasing the point focus on however you were thinking. You will notice that the little bits of thought particles, without your attention, don't stick together. They don't make sense. For example, when you are drifting off to sleep, slowly, if you aren't that tired, but you're tired enough to sleep, there's a phase you go through of just seeing random pictures, but you're not in them. And then it goes into dreams. And those random pictures are so fast you can't even catch them. And they're not in any way associated with each other. They don't have stories. After a while, they stick together in dreams and stories. But I'm talking about that stage before they do that. Your thoughts, like tiny bits, as fast as Rika. Open your attention into the ground of mind, which is not a ground or a thing. Infinite open, space beyond knowing, spacious beyond knowing, not space. Vast array of forms that you normally dance as and with, arising in that space and vanishing within it. Having themselves no duration without change. All of this dancing, moving phenomena, impermanent, having no intrinsic reality of its own. The play of senses of the six senses, the play of the winds through the channels creating the sensations of the six senses. For a moment, relax without interpreting those. As bits of distraction occur, Notice them, but do not entertain them. Relax and relax again. Deeper, farther, less. When one subtly uses this emptiness to investigate your attachment to substance, to form, no substance of form remains. And yet this emptiness can manifest as anything whatsoever. The expanse of natural open awareness transcends the ideas of emptiness and substance. For those were thoughts. Big, small, wide, narrow. Here and there, now and then, are all thoughts. Relax your obsessions. With playing around with the stories of phenomena until the compulsion to do so fades. Do not reject thinking, calling it bad. Good and bad are extremism here. Do not grasp thinking, calling it good. Good and bad are extremism here. Thinking limits your reality to just what you think it is. And that's always rather small. It is not necessary to constrain yourself in this way. So you practice, because boy, have you got a habit. You think stopping smoking's hard. Stop reifying whatever reality you happen to be subscribed to at the moment. Even heroin's easy compared to that. When transcendence is beyond experience, but simply is, then the come and go experience of it is liberation from the path of samsara in the boundaries of the experience, however long the stack is. But you cannot just sit there and let go forever. You need to merge your practice of Zogchen with daily life. if you can't, if it's only on the cushion, be realistic. How much time do you have to spend on the cushion? Unless you're really old, probably not that much. And if you're really old, you probably need more naps, so not that much anyway. I'm looking for something for you. There. Sorry, Martin, we just switched texts. The everyday in daily life practice of Zogchen is simply develops a complete carefree acceptance and openness to all situations and sensations without limit. Now, that's not going to happen overnight, unless you're a Chickasaw, and they're rare, kind of like unicorns. So, what is really beautiful about, in particular, the Nyingma Dzogchen teachings, is that they give you a number of methods to unravel your obsession with thought. That's the key. When you have a big knot of tangled things, usually somewhere there's a string, and if you just gently tickle that one string out, it all falls apart. Thoughts are that string of this entire bilbla. Bilbla is what Tibetans call balls of yarn after the kittens have been at it. This entire bilbla of sensations and stories about the sensations and thoughts about the stories. The whole thing, by pulling on thoughts first, you can unravel it. If you pull on feelings first, even though they appear to be what bothers you most, it won't come loose. If you pull on sensations first, because maybe there's a physical sensation that really bothers you, it won't come loose, not until you can unwrap the story. The story is what holds it all together. The story is consisting of a series of teeny tiny thought bits, almost like in a computer, the zeros and ones. which when they string together with enough of them, start looking like they make sense. So your little thought bits, called nam in Tibetan, hook together with a sort of a hook called tok, tok, nam tok. Thoughts that go somewhere, that tell a story that makes sense, that have at least become a phrase with meaning. Because the little tiny bits just by themselves don't really have meaning. And you can't follow them, just the way you can't follow a single Rika in the sky. Too fast and they're gone. So the whole trick to unraveling this bilblah of thought, all the stories you live by, what kind of person are you? Well, just pick something. Say, well, I'm a fairly emotional person, or I'm a rather dry person, or what about you? What? Give me a word that describes you.
Curious.
Mm-hmm. How about you? Weird'll do. How about you? Anyone else want to pick one? These are your stories. The stories that support your self-concept. There's more than just one word in your self-concept, but we're just picking one, throwing one out there to sort of work with. If I took away from you that word you just gave me, you would fight me for it, wouldn't you? You will fight enlightenment to maintain your self-concept. I believe it's called ego. To maintain the story of who you think you are, you will fight anything. But guess what? It wears off. You get old. Mine was fierce. I used to believe I could win any fist fight against all possible logic. But it was only a few years ago that I stopped believing that. It was a great shock to realize that no, I no longer can take any random person on the street, should I need to. Boy, was that a shock. And I was already 70 when I noticed it. You're gonna have to let go of it anyway. You're not going to be this person in your next life. You will be a sequelae of this person. And even in old age, you're going to find most of it's going to wear off. It's really hard to have adventures when you can barely walk. Curiosity might hang. Dalai Lama's curious. But then when you start going senile and you can't remember anything, I guess you have more things to be curious about because you can relearn them all. The point I'm making is that until you can release the story that thinks it's you, you're going to be trapped resisting enlightenment and working to maintain the illusion of samsara, where you can be you in. For Zogchen to work, you actually have to wish to be ready to let go of that. You aren't. Nobody is. And your teacher has to stamp on your little fingers to make you let go of the cliff edge. That's what teachers are for. They do that. Thank you, Rinpoche, I think. But you have to be willing, or you have to want to be willing to let go. Or Dzogchen's the wrong practice. Go to Tantra, where you can build an entire world and even believe in deities. And still maintain the illusion of self for quite a while. It'll eventually go away, but for quite a while. This openness is the playground of our emotions. It's going to be hard, however, to have a naked emotion. For as long as your emotion has a story wrapped around it, say anger. I'm pissed at him because he did that. That's supporting your anger, but it's also a girdle on your anger. It cramps it. The 5 poisons, the 5 poisonous emotions: fear, anger, avarice, lack, want, pride in possessions, level of pride in level of society, lust, loneliness, the urge to merge, looking for your soulmate, both the pain of that and the pleasure in there, jealousy, competitiveness, comparativeness, and sloth, exhaustion, and overwhelmedness. For those of you on the spectrum, like a frizz out, where you can't be there anymore, you got to get away because it's overwhelming. That's the central direction. It can be paralyzing, or you can just run in circles about it, depending on your personality. You either freeze or run. All of these, the 5 poisons, are held in their poisonous component by the story wrapped around them. If the story is removed, if you have the skill to unravel a story, the emotions arise nakedly as the 5 wisdoms of the Dhyani Buddhas. But if they're not naked, if they are constrained by the wrapping of a story, the whys and wherefores, the justification or the suppression, the belief that they're good or bad, even their name, which is like an underwire bra. Really, get it off, get it all off to free an emotion into its natural state. And they are the pattern of the wisdom of Zogchen. But to do that, you gotta get the thoughts off, so you start with the thoughts. The easiest way for me to release a thought pattern is by shifting the gaze. See, now, what was I saying? This is why I have to watch it, because I'll completely forget what I was saying. Those bits of silence, I forgot to think. After a time of the experience of opening your attention from its point focus on the thought bits into what we call go for the where, not the what, into the sky space like vast openness of awareness when it is not point focused on a single point. After you practice this for a time, this symbol will be obvious. Third Wong. And you won't have to stop thinking in order to perceive open awareness and rest in open awareness. In the beginning, you may find that you do have to stop hooking the thoughts together. There's a path here. We're talking about method. So I've taught you all the tricks, like the eye gaze, aligning the channels, the different positions, how to hold your tongue and your teeth. All of these are just little tricks that help. Really, I mean, you could do it from anywhere. But it's a little easier with your back straight. It's a little easier with your tongue set properly, with your teeth apart. So why make it hard? You want to get so good at that shift that you can do it instantaneously while talking, so that the meditation does not bother the thoughts and the thoughts do not bother the meditation. The clear, transparent quartz crystal. In Tibet, we didn't have glass. It was the only transparent thing around, quartz. So you would show that to show what transparent means traditionally, and point out that thoughts are transparent. That could be proved easily. Look, pumpkin, visualize a pumpkin. Think of pumpkin really hard. Right here, in between my hands. See, you can see right through it. Try to make it opaque. So you don't have to do anything to make your thoughts transparent. They are. Nothing to fix. The key here is repetition. Milarepa's calloused ass. So what you want to do is sit 5 or 6 times a day. Your morning session's your long one. 5 to 10 minutes maybe, if you're starting off. Or if you're ADD, that might be what you can do. If you're a hyper-focus, once you get that unhooked, it's going to be easy to extend the time. You can take that same hyper-focusedness and use it for hyper-unfocusedness. But remember, Buddhism is the middle way. Hyper-unfocused, hyper-focused. In the middle of between them you go. So all the extremes of is and isn'ts try to aim right in the middle between them. Relaxing, opening, letting go of your thoughts without doing anything to them, simply taking your attention from them to the vast open ground in which they arise and vanish. Thoughts themselves, thought bits, noms, have neither substance nor duration. They don't actually exist in a place in the time-space continuum. mathematically, for something to occupy space, it requires dimension, size, and temporal dimension. Even those little tiny particles that they now play with, the quarks and the gluons, they seem to be able to at least measure some kind of dimension and duration of them. But you can't do that with a thought. So you relax and leave them be. When you actually discover this vast openness, open yourself completely to it, to the entire universe, with absolute simplicity and nakedness of mind. Which means don't try to wrap it up in a story and make it manageable. This is really powerful because it drops that mask of self-protection where you're trying to support a self-image, a kind of person you either think you are or want to be or fear you might become. Any one of those three, depending on your mood. So this is not a matter of withdrawing from the world. Let your practice be free and non-conceptual and frequent. Long session in the morning. After breakfast, on the way to work, not while driving, after you park, before you open the car door. 1 minute. Look, a minute is long enough for a session. Watch, I'm going to time this one. There. That was a minute. That'll work. So in your car before you go in, or if you take public transport in between stations or whatever, and then you go to your office or your job, but you get a coffee break somewhere around 10 or 11. If you're at a computer, you should be taking stretches every 45 minutes. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. When you take a stretch, take a minute to do a session. It'll take you about 10 to 20 seconds to get into it, minimal. So you'll really only get like 10 or 20 seconds of a minute that you're actually meditating. That's okay. Once it gets easy by doing it repeatedly again and again, just like, do you remember learning to drive a car? Remember how hard it was the first week where you couldn't imagine eating a sandwich, holding a conversation, and driving at the same time? And now, you even let the car find its own way home. Cars know where they live somehow. So considering this, you got to get your practice, your ability to do this on the same autopilot that your driving is. Like that easy. And it's just practice. You drive all the time. So you're in practice. Once it is easy to shift your attention from what you're thinking to the infinite open awareness, then you're going to move on to the next practice, which is not on the cushion. It's done while walking and talking, and while eating and getting up and sitting down, right in the middle of doing it. You don't stop for this practice. You do stop for a mini session. But once you're good at just doing those mini sessions, going in and out pretty quick, you start doing this without stopping. And it's not a session. It doesn't last any time. It's a quick glance right in the middle of everything to see if open awareness is still there. If tawa is still there. This broadens your experience. This is all a matter of changing habits. Your habit of obsessing with phenomena is being changed to the ability at will to release phenomena, which will naturally grow into the transparency of phenomena in emptiness as emptiness, without disturbing the phenomena or the emptiness. That makes sense? Well, it happens naturally. It's the beginning and the end of confusion. This self-luminous wisdom space, this ground of being, this life force of the Sambhogakaya is both infinite, open, and empty, and lively with creativity. You can't separate the Dharmakaya emptiness of mind, which is what you're shifting your habit from obsessing with phenomena to antidote it with obsessing with non-phenomena, infinite open ground of mind. But what you're trying to do is slide between the two. You are a symptom of the vitality of the universe. As such, you are Sambhogakaya. When you do all the tantras, you're working with the Sambhogakaya. It is the natural state of aliveness, which by its vitality experiences the dance of phenomena as emptiness. And there's no conflict. This presence of awareness in the primordial state has no bias towards enlightenment or non-enlightenment. Doesn't care. It's simply alive. This ground of being, which is known as pure or original mind, Kuntu Zangpo, Kuntu Zangmo, primordial Buddhahood, Bodhisattva, Buddha consciousness, all these words, is the source from which all phenomena arise. This is Dugokensi. It is known as the Great Mother, as the womb of potentiality, in which all things arise and dissolve in natural self-perfectedness and absolute spontaneity. Do you feel that? All this is in and as Tawa. There is no separation. All aspects of phenomena are completely transparent and lucid. The whole universe is open and unobstructed. Everything mutually interpenetrating. The dance of the 5 elements, in which matter is a symbol of energy, and energy a symbol of emptiness. We are each a symbol of our own enlightenment. You ever read the stories from the sutras of Buddha's past lives? Oh, find them sometime, enjoy them. Many of them are quite fun. Well, this is the story. This is your story. Remember, every sentient being is a Buddha at some point in time. So what you live right now is the story of how that happened. If it's your last life, it's one story. If it's your second to last life, it's another story. If it's your 400th to last life, it's another story. Who else has a lot of good stories? Mandareva's biography. Yes, that one. It has a lot of good past life stories, where she is both an emanation and isn't, and she knows it and doesn't. Read them. I mean before liberation. And yes, it goes on and on. Are there other questions?
Can you wait for the microphone?
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Wangdo Rinpoche, and could you see his mind? What was his mind like?
You're talking about his personality? I never looked.
No, his big mind.
Tawa. Like everybody's.
Can you tell a story about your perception of that?
Oh, my perceptions have been all over the place. Because, you know, having a teacher is a highly emotionally loaded thing. So you make up all sorts of stories. None of which have any reality. Somebody come up with a Zogchen question. We got another one up here.
So you're saying it's not necessary to actively deconstruct the stories, that simply,
No, that's giving them attention, that strengthens them.
yeah. I think that's why for me, I mean, the only thing that's really helped with all my messed upness is has been the relaxing into awareness, and I'm just absolute. I mean, it's the real antidote. It's the real. It's not.
But what's the problem with fucked upness?
Well, that's what I find. Then I'm not even turning it into fucked upness. It is just the playing out of karma, of cause and effect. I'm not personalizing it, so then I don't add flame, to the fire. I don't add kindling to the fire, and I'm just able to kind of, observe it, not taking it personally, and it's amazing. It really just kind of blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, they do that. You'll make more.
Yeah. Which is
There's
okay.
still
I'm
a
sorry.
duality there.
Yeah.
Give it time, keep practicing. There's still a on-off,
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
You gotta get to that and.
Yeah.
That's just a matter of practice. The and will become obvious with time. Keep going.
Can I just say one other thing quickly? Like I started to experience that when I was sitting this afternoon and working with the tea glaze and the sparklies. I forgot what you called the
Rika.
sparklies. Rika, yeah. That I noticed that when I created an object out of them, that there was a huge difference. The shift was between creating an object out of them versus them just arising. And that completely changed the experience. And that allowing them to just be arising instead of creating an object out of
I
them.
don't understand the difference. We create an object out of everything in order for it to arise. Ticklies may be an exception to that, I'm not sure.
Mm, uh, well, my experience was I could view them as myself as a subject looking at the object, or they could simply be arising and there was just arisingness.
Oh, okay, I
But
see what
maybe I
you're
was
saying. You're
deluding
not
myself about
separating
that.
yourself from them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we seem to have a bit different terminology, probably because we've studied with different teachers.
Yeah.
This open awareness I talk about, Norbu called it presence.
Mm.
But in the Be Here Now meditations, they say be present, and it's too easy for those two words for me to confuse. Because you're not present with the here and now, this point in the time-space continuum. Your presence outside of all the points. The naked presence. So it's just different words that different teachers use to convey something that didn't go into English anyway. I'm looking here at a text by His Holiness Dilgokensi. Once you have gone through the stages of time on the cushion, learning to shift your attention from point focus to openness, and then doing many little glances once you're good at it while you do stuff, at that point, you will begin to actually practice Zogchen. Before then, you're just developing the skills to practice Zogchen. The everyday practice of Dzogchen is just everyday life itself, without grasping or shoving away everything. So, let's say you get the sniffles. Okay, you have the sniffles. You don't abandon common sense. You take care of yourself. You have some chicken soup or, hot tea with lemon, whatever works for you. A pill as needed. But you don't reify the story around it. So you allow sensations and experiences to occur, including emotions and including thoughts, without grasping or focusing your belief systems or holding on to any of them, and without rejecting any of them. It's a very subtle way of walking through the world. Since you recognize at this point that there is no difference between Tawa, infinite open awareness. See, once you become familiar with infinite open awareness in the middle of all things, of all the doings, it becomes obvious to you, and however much time I spend telling you this won't make it obvious to you, that you got to do the thing. It becomes obvious to you that there is no separation between the two, between awareness and what it is aware of, between phenomena and emptiness. This in Mahamudra is very poetically called the dance of stillness, or the dance of moving stillness. Dancing stillness, the yoga of dancing stillness. Very pretty way of phrasing it. And it's, once you have come to that, how many people know what I'm talking about? Okay, I've got enough people. Yesterday was mostly how you do the beginning, because we got beginners here. This is after you've been doing that a while, so this is the next step. Some of you won't get to this for 6 months or a year, maybe 2. It just depends on how much you decide to practice and then how much you follow through. Because, we've all spent a long time intending to practice, intending to make more sessions. Most of us have spent many years doing that before we actually did it. Usually because something scared the shit out of us. In this everyday practice, there is no lack of enlightenment in Dzogchen, because you can see it. It's not missing. You don't have to develop it. It's right here and right now. And it becomes utterly obvious. And it won't become obvious until you do the work to get to the point where you yourself can see that. Because I could tell you about it, and I could tell you there are purple cows on the moon. I could tell you any damn thing. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's those other truths that they talk about in politics. Since lack of enlightenment as a state does not have any actual existence, independent existence, there is no need to behave in any special way or attempt to attain anything above and beyond what you actually are. So relax. There's no feeling of needing to reach some amazing goal or advanced state. Rinpoche used to say, what, you think you're going to find something that makes your eyes bug out and your mouth drop open? No, Matt, it's completely ordinary. Utterly normal. And exceptionally profound. Remember, no either ors. We got rid of those. To keep striving for such a state is a neurosis which only conditions us and serves to obstruct the free flow of mind. In the beginning, people ask me, am I doing it right? And in the end, they ask me, are we there yet? And I can boil 9/10 of the questions down to those two. Just keep doing it. You'll figure out. And there is no there. Do not think of yourselves as this or that. You know how sometimes you think you're really wonderful and sometimes you think you're really awful? And, it just depending on whatever which. Those are like the stories that you really don't need to believe in. You don't believe everything you read on the internet, right? I hope. There's a lot of weird shit out there. So the AI, the internet AI, Google AI comes up with weird stuff about Dharma. It's like, don't trust that thing to tell you the truth. It has hallucinations. Just like people do. It makes up shit. Just like people do. If you don't believe everything you read on the internet, why do you believe everything you think? Have you not even noticed yet that sometimes you've been incorrect in your assumptions? And yet, whatever you're thinking right now, you believe 100%. That's a problem. It's not until you have seen your thoughts very clearly for what they are that you will be able to release your natural and intrinsic belief in them. We are naturally free and unconditioned. We are intrinsically enlightened and lack nothing. Your practice needs to become as natural as eating, nothing forced. Like breathing, like eating and shitting. Not a formal event, loaded with seriousness. You do that with Tantra, and there's reasons. But not in Zogchen. You don't have to keep an altar, unless you feel like it, because you think they're pretty and you're used to the habit. You don't have to anything. Just let the display unravel. Realize that meditation transcends effort, practice, aims, goals, and the duality of liberation and non-liberation. If you, in one taste, which is a name of a realization in Mahamudra, Rochik, are in no way separate from your perceptions, the phenomena you perceive. If your perceptions are creating you and you are creating your perceptions, there's no real you in there to protect, to be trapped in ignorance, to be stuck. It's like getting my fist caught in the sky. How? Or actually getting my tail caught in the sky. So I can't walk because my tail's caught in the sky. First of all, there isn't a sky, really. There's nothing, no thing that is sky space, and I don't have a tail. So your problem is just that your tail is stuck in the sky. That's samsara. Relax. Let go of the need to be perfect. That's what y'all want, really. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. That old thing from the, what was it, the 80s? This is not necessary. Right the way you are is fine. You don't have to fix it. Because you aren't the way you think you are. So how do you fix a set of illusions? It's like going to the vet and complaining that your unicorn is sick. If I'm a veterinarian, what am I supposed to do for your unicorn? So just relax and live. In the beginning, you will flash back and forth between awareness and open awareness and pointed focus on phenomena. You can't help it. It's just habits. Keep at it. The key, as Jangchu Dorji said to Wangdor Rinpoche while walking and talking, while getting up and while sitting down, whatever you're doing, right while you're doing, notice the already familiar Dharmakaya nature of mind. So instead of obsessing with phenomena as you've been doing for eons, life upon life, whether you've been a bug or a man, spend a year or two obsessing with emptiness. But it's only to balance you. What you want is in the middle, to dance with where nothing happens and nothing moves as the phenomena of the life force of the universe without even the illusion of singularity. Because that's what you've always been doing. All of us, that. Your meditation is always perfect. There's no need to correct anything. No goals to achieve. It's a matter of relaxing an obsession with a TV show and noticing that you're on the couch. You're not in there in the spaceship. If it was a good enough show and you smoked a joint first, you probably thought you were. So relax into Zogchen. But until such time as this is obvious, keep practicing. The short glances are the key. This awareness that it's always been this way is the third word of Garib Dorji Sopa. Many copies online. If you haven't read that one yet, it's considered the base text of Dzogchen. Since everything arises simply as the play of mind as such, there is no unsatisfactory meditation and no need to judge your thoughts as good or bad. In the beginning, because thoughts hold you, trap you, constrict your emotions into squeaky things, it's the squeak that bothers you, not the feeling. That's caused by the constriction. Did I bring it? Yes. Squeaks. If it weren't constricted by the little thingy, but since it is, it squeaks. When we constrict our emotions, they bother us by the squeak of the constriction, not the emotion itself. They're free and natural. It's when we try to justify them, describe them, talk about them, that they get us in trouble. When you try to shove away your thoughts in the beginning, when you're doing Shine, when you're first learning Shine, which is one-pointed focus on an object, like a pebble or something, thoughts are a problem then. But in Zogchen here, they are not. Remember, they're transparent. They in no way obscure the nature of mind. You just look right through them. Infinite open awareness is always there. You can't lose it. It doesn't come and go. Let this become obvious through practices as described. And then relax. Let go of this whole, I gotta get better, I gotta improve myself, I'm not good enough, I gotta be perfect. Just let go. Don't shove it. That gives it energy. When you push on something, it pushes back, like in Tai Chi. You know, like push hands. Don't shove. Release. And then just leave the display to do what it does. This will actually, eventually, when the elements separate and the meat runs down, leave behind nothing but a rainbow body. Whether others will have the karma to perceive that on you, as you, will depend on them, not you. And yet, they are in no way separate from you. So if the group karma of those who are around at the time your elements separate, you're held together by the circulation of earth. How does it go? Earth, fire, water, and air, and space in which all this moves. So you're held together by these elements circulating. They're not elements like Western elements, but we just don't have another word for them. Types of matter, energy levels, valences in chemistry, I think. That's just how far the electron is. We hold all of these beliefs in either or. I'm either enlightened or I'm not. Didn't we throw that away in the beginning? And I'm fully enlightened and I'm not. Isn't that more fun? So you relax into it. You don't push the river, but your little pips still have chi flowing over them, and so they're still making music. So there's still going to be sensations of the 6 sense organs. The yi feels neurotransmitters. Adrenaline, cortisol. It's a sense organ of the heart chakra. It feels the sensations of emotions. Not the complexities of the stories, but the sensations of, yeah! Did I get anybody? Feel your yi. Not the story about what I did or why I did it. Just the sensation. That's your yi. Your yi doesn't feel any difference between fear and excitement. Between any of them. Oh, there's subtlenesses, but nothing happens. There's no difference. So relax and stop sweating it. Simply sit when you're sitting. Walk when you're walking. Talk when you're talking. Stay in your own place, your own condition, just as it is. There's no need to be self-conscious. That self-descriptive self-consciousness is simply a trying to maintain some kind of ego lump, the clump that thinks it's you, trying to keep it together. Let it come apart. When the channels are not constrained by your efforts, they straighten out and stop squeaking. You don't have to think I'm meditating. You don't have to think I'm not meditating. No effort, no strain, no attempts to control or force. No attempts to try to become peaceful. So, if you can manage it, to do the practice of both 5 or 6 sitting sessions a day, short ones, and many quick glances, without the belief system that it will benefit you or that you're going to get anywhere, but you just do it, then it works best. But if you can't do that, it's okay to think you're going somewhere or you're going to get something out of this, like peace of mind. We can pretend that that's what's going to happen. If it helps you, it is both nothing which changes, because it always was there, and eminently freeing to recognize this. And, not or. When you practice, you get experiences, meditative experiences. You see things, you hear things, you feel things. Don't get all caught up in these, oh wow, it's a sign I'm doing good. Don't trust it. It's just experiences. Relax, let them come and go. They're moving. So today we have done about half and half of method and lack of method, of reason, motivation, and of abandoning all motivation of becoming better and perfecter. Each of these is an extreme. Find the middle. between doing the practice regularly and believing things about it. Questions here? There should be some. Okay, I'm going to take this gentleman first. Whoever you get to first.
I didn't see who raised that.
Oh, he.
I have a history of getting headaches when I meditate. I was trying the Zogchen this morning. I just got this like pain in my head on the left side.
You're trying. You're trying too hard. You might do better. Now, it's awfully hot today, so I'm not necessarily going to recommend this for today. But when the weather is nicer, or in the cool of the evening, to go sit in a park. And don't try to meditate. Just sit there and try to relax past obsessing with your thoughts and feelings. But don't try to meditate. If you have a tendency to get headaches, that's rising chi. The other thing that will help with that, that'll drop the chi, is a really good local beer, live yeast, with live yeast, unfiltered. Do you know where to get one of those? Do you drink beer?
No, I don't drink.
You don't drink. You're not vegan, are you?
No.
Okay, get some brewer's yeast and put it in a nice juice. Try that. It could be, there's a couple of reasons why someone might have a rising chi. It might be just habit and karma. Usually it's because they're holding their meditation too tight. However, a vitamin B deficiency, as is frequently found in vegans, can cause it. And tell you what, do you like poutine?
Probably not. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, it's French fries with cheese curds and gravy on them, all melted together. Loaded fries. You could try before meditating eating something greasy. Preferably a root vegetable, so French fries, and add cheese. That will tend to drop the lung. The other possibility is that, do you get migraines?
Ocular migraines. So my head doesn't hurt, but I'll see things.
Oh, you get the aura from migraines.
I see like little needles flying around.
What little,
Like needles?
what are those called? No. Yeah, it's the migraine aura. Do you know a decent masseuse?
Yeah.
Have them work on back here. See if that helps. I'm just scanning a little bit. Yeah, you're holding some tension in the back here. And that could be also a cause. So try one or more of these solutions. Try not to practice so hard. Don't meditate hard. What you want to be, most of us, when we try to meditate, it's like, you don't want to be. It's like sliding into a hot bath. So find a cushy bench somewhere out among the trees, after sunset when it's nice and cool this evening, or cooler, where there's a breeze. And just relax there for a while. Try that. Try it that way. Anyone else with questions?
So this is in context to samsara. So you said don't run away from it, but naturally the motivation diminishes, like you see pointlessness.
Yes, you have to actually start the habit of practice while you are still running away from it, because it hurts. However, it's not the phenomena that hurts. It's how you feel about it. Pain does not always hurt. Sometimes it hurts, but sometimes you don't have to name it that. For example, easier for people to understand hunger. When you're hungry, some people really like that sensation of being hungry. They feel high from it. You can usually spot them, they're kind of skinny. Other people hate that sensation and really want to go make it go away. There are other sensations. It's like you don't have to interpret the sensation. It's not that the sensations occur. It's that you like or don't like them. So it's not the, how to say this, it's not the phenomena that's the problem of samsara, but rather the assorted interpretations you have of that phenomena. When you don't believe your interpretations, they won't bother you. So, to some extent, there is something to run away from. And there isn't, not either or. This is the subtle middle way where you have to find enough curiosity or fear, you can use either one, to motivate you, but not so much that it traps you. This is why the Buddha said when he first recognized this amazing point, even if I shout it from the rooftops, even if I say it to anyone, no one's going to understand this, so I think I'll just sit here. And then the bodhisattvas and mahasattvas came and begged him to teach. And even so, we lamas are not allowed to teach without a request. We're not allowed to go out and just stand there and do it unless somebody asks us to. That keeps us from making certain errors that other religions have made. So if someone doesn't ask, if they don't want to know about it, you don't tell them. Other questions?
One more.
One more.
So we always, like I hear you always in the sequence of thoughts, feelings, and sensations. So it's easiest to see thoughts as transparent, but the feelings and sensations relatively appear more tangible.
They do. That's why it's harder.
Yeah.
But once you manage to see through the thoughts very clearly, you can unravel the constrictions on the feelings. There's a whole method on that. Once you've got that unraveled, then you can take the whole ball of wax, thoughts, feelings, and sensations all together as perceptions. And there's a method to unravel that. But those are different retreats than this. Those are methods, they're tab. But they are Zogchen methods, just like what I've been teaching you in this weekend, the how to relax into the view, tawa, and how to do the quick glances are methods. No, they are not necessary. It's all right there. Yes, they are absolutely necessary, or you'll never know this and be satisfied. And we have time for one more question, I think. Audience, or no, we'll go in here. Audience can save it for tomorrow.
Can you talk about the importance of the teacher, of having a teacher and having Sangha to practice Dzogchen, or you get instructions and you have to go by your own?
And you what?
And you have to go by yourself. Like, do you have to have a formal teacher,
Yes.
like formal Sangha?
No, you don't have to be part of a formal Sangha.
Mm.
You do have to receive the pointing out.
Mm.
And you may find it useful for there to be a teacher somewhere that you can go to make sure you're on the right track.
Mm.
Or check in if you get a meditative accident, or you get one of these meditative experiences that gets stuck. Someone that you can ask, I seem to be like unable to focus myself and drive or anything. It's like I'm just so spaced. What should I do? That's a nyam, one of those meditative experiences that comes and goes. There's ways of breaking it. But sometimes you got to ask somebody. So it's useful to have a teacher, but no, they don't have to sit on you and hatch you. You do need the pointing out. You're never going to look there without somebody going, hey, Joe, look.
Mm.
How would you even think of it? Go sit in a pub tonight and look at all the people. None of them it's going to occur to them to look past their thoughts at where the thoughts are happening. Not unless somebody mentions it.
Thank you.
And I think we may be complete for today. Ge wandi nyur duda chi chi sala go pashu. I'm hoarse. I've been talking a lot. Guys out there, I'll see you all at the same time tomorrow. Guys in here, I guess the same. Thank you for coming. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Watch the coffee. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, they kept me awake, which was good.
We do